Alrighty guys, welcome back to the channel. I know I ain't posted in a minute. I've had a lot that I haven't been able to film, unfortunately, because it was so busy and happened to spur of the moment. But we won some items at an auction and we're on our way right now to go pick them up. So I'll see you guys at the auction, and any guesses on what we got, you can leave them down in the comments. I'll see you guys in a minute. Alrighty guys, we're in line here, waiting to get loaded. I'll get back with you guys in a minute when it's time to see what we got. Alright, we're up to pay, so here in a few minutes we'll be getting loaded. Alrighty guys, we finally got back here and we're gonna help our buddy get loaded here, and then we'll get our stuff loaded. Well guys, we kind of ran into a situation here with this thing. So it'll start up.
Do you change torch or anything?
Not on me.
We'll put some heat in it.
So it'll start up. But the problem is the hydraulics are incredibly weak right now, and I put fluid in it. The bucket works fine, but raise the loader, it's very slow to go forward. It don't want to go. So
Raise that up, turn that bucket down and shut it.
yeah, we could try that. So we have no weak hydraulics on this thing, and loader, one of them just broke and the next one's 2 hours out, so it's going to be a hard time getting loaded here, and we got 8 items to load, so I'll let you guys know how it goes. Well guys, we got a guy on a loader. He's going to help us get loaded, so we'll have to dive into this thing in a later video and look at the pump or something, because it just ain't making enough pressure. I added some fluid and it just still didn't want to go, so I'll get back to you guys when we're getting loaded. She's cold.
Oh, yeah. More forks underneath it.
Did the bucket come down on us, or did you do that?
I did it.
Huh? Now you got a bucket on the front of it on the ground.
I can raise up that front.
Well, I guess if it fits, it ships. That's how she's gonna have to ride. We got 7 other things to go. We'll be out of here. Here comes the next item we bought. A backhoe, so we'll get it set on the trailer now. 2 down, 5 or 6 more to go. Well, that's everything loaded up, and I'll got to get it chained down now, and I'll tell you what I paid for everything in a minute, see if I got a good deal or if I got suckered at the auction. Alrighty guys, we got everything strapped down, chained down, and ready to go. This is one way to haul a mini skid steer, but I've got a strap here keeping it from going back. I've got a chain putting tension on it this way, and then a chain around the front pulling it that way, so hopefully it won't go nowhere. As you can see, it's a bit of a muddy mess. I've got my pants, my shoes all covered in mud, but big thanks to the guys at the lot for helping us get loaded here, and we're ready to hit the road. I'll go over everything in more detail later on when I'm out of here and actually have time and not covered in mud. All right, I'll get back with you guys when we get it home. Well guys, it's a couple days after the auction here, and as you can see, the trailer is empty, which means I've already unloaded all of the purchases. Unfortunately, I didn't get any video of that. It was cold that night, and the last thing on my mind was getting videos. I'm kind of sorry about that. But it was interesting how we had to unload that mini skid steer with the hydraulic pump being weak on it. Kind of had to push it around with the tractor and turn it on the trailer and push it off, and then we had to pull it around and push it into the garage. So I'm gonna try to go over everything I bought, and we're gonna start with the skid steer. So let's go look at that. All right, so here's where it sits after we got it unloaded and got it into the garage, and everything seemed fine on it except for the bad hydraulic pump, which these seem to come factory with bad hydraulic pumps. But I paid $2,500 for this thing. And if you can pick up a good hydraulic pump for, I don't know, $500-600 and a third function kit, then you're $3,000 into a brand new stand-on skid steer. And when you consider that name brand ones are $10,000 to $15,000 sometimes used, I think you're doing well. And this thing is not necessarily cheaply built. When you look at the geometry of the loader and the design of it, you can tell this wasn't just something patched together. I mean, this is heavy steel this is built out of. It's even got 1/4-inch gussets on it all throughout, and these tracks seem pretty stout. They've got almost an inch of tread, and they've got the greasable tension on it where you can adjust it, all cast gears, and these cylinders are pretty stout as well. To just be a little thing, I mean, that's got to be over an inch in diameter on that rod there. And all the steel on the body and stuff seems pretty stout for the little thing this is. And honestly, I don't have many complaints with this thing for the price I paid. And what research I've done on these things, they seem to all, for the most part, come with bad hydraulic pumps. But after you get that fluke fixed, these are stout machines. And that's just one of the things you kind of have to eat when buying a cheap auction machine. But once we get all that fixed, I think this thing will be a beast. And once we get it fixed, we'll definitely have to get some more videos of it working and in action so we can really test what this thing is like and how good it is. But so far, I like it. When you get up here into the operator station, you can clearly see your bucket and all that with the low tapered hood where it slants down. I can see the cutting edge of the bucket, all the corners, everything. I can see my entire track system if I'm gonna hit something. And all my controls are right here. So I think this won't be a bad little machine to operate once we get the hydraulics fixed. And I also like how that cylinder for the dump function on the bucket is protected with what appears to be 1/2-inch steel plating. That way, if something falls from the back or anything like that, this cylinder is protected by what it mounts to. So that's stealth. That ain't going nowhere. If it gets hit hard enough to damage that, then you got bigger problems. But the cylinder is well protected by the design of the boom, and I like that. But overall, this seems like a good, simple machine. Everything would be easy to work on. And honestly, parts aren't, what I've seen so far, that hard to come by. But we'll see if that holds to be true. Anyways, let's get outside and let's look at the other lots. We'll have to get you guys updated on this thing once we start putting a hydraulic pump in it, which once you get all the parts, it should go relatively quickly. But I'll make sure to get you all updated on that. Alright, so the first item I'm going to look at is these fork extensions. I believe I paid $60 for these things, 65, something like that. And so I really just bought these because they were cheap. There was a surplus of them in the auction, so this lot just happened to go $60. I don't know what these are new. I know nothing about them. I just know they're gonna make me be able to pick up more things like vehicles and be more stable to where it won't tip off my current forks, because I believe they're only 40 inches to 4 feet long, if that. I'm not exactly sure. I'd have to look, but anyways, these are longer and I should be able to pick up more items. So the next item here is this little auger that goes on the little skid steer. I'm not sure what size bit it's got on it, but this will be good for digging post holes, stuff like that. I believe I paid 200 and some bucks, maybe 250 bucks for it. But anyways, it'll be a good little outfit for whatever, and it honestly, it seems very well built. That's got to be 2.5 inches across of hexagonal steel there. And these, looks like it's made out of 1/2 inch plating, this gearbox. And this is 1 inch steel, and it's got some gussets down there. And overall, it just seems very stout built for a little mini skid. And this auger bit is the same thing. I mean, it's stout. There's no way a mini skid will have the power to tear that thing up. So for 200 bucks, I think it did well. You can also change out the tips on these. Looks like that's a little loose. Need to tighten that up. But we'll get on to the next lot here. So the next lot is this little grapple bucket for the little skid steer. I want to say I gave around 250 bucks, maybe 270 bucks for it. Brand new again. Brand new again. It's got the little hoses and stuff. It's got a cylinder that'll open this clamshell type grabber. And it's the smooth bottom. It's a grapple bucket, not necessarily a grapple rake. So it'll be good for grabbing stuff, and you can also still scoop a little bit with it. But overall, I think it'll be a good little outfit for that machine once we get the auxiliary hydraulics added. Also thought I'd throw in this little 3-point hitch receiver adapter thing. I want to say it was 50 bucks. It wasn't even me that bought it. It was my dad. Alright, we're on to the big stuff now. This is a 80-inch smooth face skid steer bucket made by Wolverine Attachments. And I had always wanted a bucket, especially a smooth face one, that was as wide as the tracks on my skid steer, so when I'm digging or grading or anything, I can cover my tracks up. And especially when digging, your tracks aren't binding on the uncut dirt as you're going in digging something. And this is a big bucket. The camera ain't really gonna do it justice, but it's gotta be every bit of 3 feet long. It's 80 inches wide. It's probably 2.5 feet tall, which, here's the specs on it. And I want to say it holds, I think it holds more than like 0.6 yards or something. I'd have to calculate it. It may hold more than that, but I want to say I paid 625 bucks for it. For that price, I was like, I really needed to do it, because I need a bucket that'll actually work for what I need. And I figured this would be a good entry level one till, you know, get a more high dollar bucket. The next wide bucket I buy, I need a tooth bucket, which I guess I could bolt the tooth cutting edge onto this bucket, but we'll just see. I may end up with another tooth. So this was an attachment I never really seen myself owning, but kind of had something come up to where I needed something I could dig with, and I didn't quite have it budgeted for a mini excavator yet. So I bought a backhoe attachment. I want to say I paid $420 or something for this thing. It wasn't that much. Surely way less than the retail of it. I think this thing can dig, it says 72 inches. It's got 18-inch bucket on it with almost 5,400 pounds of bucket breakout force at 3,000 PSI, which my skid steer has a little bit more pressure than that. So I'm not sure, but as long as it has enough power to dig dirt, that's all I'm really worried about. I mean, this cylinder seems pretty stout. This boom's pretty stout. So is this bucket for just a little skid steer outfit. And I had looked at the backhoe attachments before where you actually sit on it, but I didn't like the idea of having to get out and move the machine as you're like digging a ditch. So I opted for one of these in the moment, which I got to use it in a couple weeks to dig a water line. And I didn't have a backhoe or a Mini X, so I just opted for one of these. And it will be a handy like backup attachment just to have if you ever need to dig with it. So that's just kind of how I look at things. But anyways, there ain't much to it. It's just a skid steer attachment plate, a boom, a cylinder, a pivot point with the bucket. And yeah, it's pretty simple. I'll have to update you guys on how it works. I have to get some footage of maybe digging a water line with it. And eventually I plan to replace it with a Mini X. And this thing will probably never get used again, but it's still good to have as a little backup. So I'll have to keep you guys updated. Alrighty guys, I kind of want to wrap this video up talking about this trailer here, which I hauled all the auction goods on, and you've also seen it in previous videos. This is my little tow pig, which it's a Horton Hauler Equipment Series trailer. So it has a 20-foot flat deck section and about a 3-foot dovetail in the back, which makes loading and unloading equipment so much better than ramps directly to the back of the deck. Plus, it gives you additional room if you're hauling longer items. Overall, it's not in the best of shape, but it's definitely still usable. And the reason I have it at the house here is because I'm going to be doing some work to it. I've got to get a fender put back on it because it looks a little goofy going down the road with only one fender. I've also got to fix the ramp latch on it, because right now the only thing that holds this ramp up is a strap, which there was a bar that went from this point to this point on the ramp, and it broke off going down the road one day. So I've got to get all that re-welded and get a fender put on it, fix some things on this fender where it's been hit and cut right there. It's also a little bit bowed down in the middle, so I have to fix that. The deck itself, it's rough, but I really don't want to spend the money to replace it right now unless I absolutely have to. But overall, I'd like to get all the metalwork cleaned up on this thing. I'd like to repaint it so it wouldn't be so bad rusty in spots, and just give it a fresh start. Put new reflectors and stuff like that on it. All the lights and brakes work good on it, so that's always a plus. Now, I do have a missing safety chain, and this one's just hanging on by its last leg there. It's only got that weld holding it, so I do need to get that safety chain fixed and another one welded on there. Now, the main thing I have it here to do to it is I bought a winch for it from Harbor Freight, a 12,000 pound winch, and I want to mount it in the front here. And I'm thinking about building a box to keep like the battery and stuff for it in. So it's going to be a lot of work. And my idea so far is to put a piece of like diamond plate across the bottom here and have a swingable lid on the top, from like have it open from here to like here, and leave this area flat across. I'll put probably another support in, and I'll build like a system for the winch to sit up on here. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do it yet, but that's just kind of one of those things you got to make up as you go, see what works and what don't. So I'll cross that bridge when I get there. I'll have to get some footage of it and kind of keep you guys updated on the way. Maybe get a few clips of some welding or something like that. But overall, it's a good trailer. I just want to make it a really good one, you know. It's totally usable like it is now. I just want to kind of make it nice to use, you know. But yeah, that's pretty much it with this thing. I use it for everything I haul, small or big. So yeah, it's been good to me, so I'm gonna try to be good to it and give back to it. I mean, I'd like to get these rims painted. It's got some good 12-ply tires on it. Currently, none of them leak. When I bought it, one of them leaked, but it has since stopped. So, yeah, I'll have to get to work on this thing when I get some welding supplies. But anyways, I'm going to get off talking about this trailer and get into the message. So you may be watching the video and think, this is one of the worst YouTube videos I've ever seen. The filming sucks, the quality's horrible, and all that. And honestly, that's not the point of this whole thing. This whole thing's really just for me to kind of share a little bit of what I do and what goes on in my daily life, which it's hard to capture everything. I watch a lot of people on YouTube who they get almost every detail, it seems like. But I know how hard it is now, and I have a whole nother level of respect for them guys. But the main reason I want to do this is to spread the gospel here. And I want to share a little bit with you guys out of the book of Matthew. We're going to be in Matthew chapter 24, and I'm going to start here at I'm going to start at verse 45 here. Sorry, I had to kind of find it. You know, I knew where it was. I just didn't know exactly where it started at. It's mixed in with Jesus is talking here. But I'm going to read this verse and then I'm going to explain it to you guys. Who then is a faithful and wise servant, whom the Lord hath made ruler over his household, to give him meat in due season? Blessed is that servant, whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Verily I say unto you, that he shall make him ruler over all his goods. But if the evil servant shall say in his heart, My Lord delayeth his coming, and shall begin to smite his fellow servants, and to eat and drink with the drunken, then the Lord of that servant shall come in a day when he looketh not for him, and in an hour that he is not aware of, and shall cut him asunder, and appoint him into the portion with the hypocrites, and there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And those are the words of Jesus right there. And what that means is when Jesus is talking about, there's a servant of a house, and the Lord of the house has appointed him certain duties. And let's say that the servant of the house thinks that the Lord of the house isn't going to be here today. So he's going to go out, he's going to go get drunk, he's going to partake in things he's not supposed to be doing, thinking the Lord's not coming back that day. And Jesus clearly says the Lord will return in a time where he is not aware and not on looking, when he least expects it. So when the Lord returns, he will see the servant, cast him with the hypocrites, or there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth, which Jesus is referring to hell, outer darkness, not necessarily hell, more the lake of fire, where you'll be cast after judgment if you're not righteous and washed through the blood of the Lamb. So how can you relate to that in your current life? Well, you may think God forgives, God's going to be coming back. So, well, he's not going to come back today, so I'm going to get drunk today, and then tomorrow I'm going to repent. And Jesus is warning about that. He's saying, if you do that, you'll be returning in a time when you don't expect, and it'll be too late. And you'll be cast into outer darkness, where there'll be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So my warning to you is, don't be like that servant. You don't know when the Lord's coming back, so always be prepared. And it's always good to stay in preparation. You may think you always have time, but the truth is, he could come back anytime. So always be prepared. And that is the message Jesus was getting at there. Jesus goes into many more parables in the book of Matthew, and it's a really good read. The Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, whenever you get the chance. It's important you use Scripture to keep Satan out of your life, and to always be prepared for when Jesus is coming. For we know not, just as a servant knows not when his Lord shall return. Anyways, I'll see you guys on the next one. I don't know when that will be. Hopefully soon. I'd like to get a video every week if that was possible, but sometimes I just don't get around to it. It may be 2 or 3 weeks, but you just kind of got to bear with me. I'm not the best at this stuff, so I thank you for watching. You guys have a good day.